Jananīṃ Sāradāṃ Devīṃ Ramakrishnaṃ Jagadgurum Pādapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamāmi Muhurmuhu. Om Namah Shri Yatirājāya Vivekananda Sūraye Satchit Sukha Swarupāya Swamine Tāpaharine. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Deva Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Ajnānatimirandhasya Jnānāñjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namaskar and welcome to Pradipta's Musings. I am Pradipta Chaudhuri, an initiated lay devotee of Ramakrishna Math and Mission. Today I am reading out an article from the book Swami Yatiswarananda As We Knew Him, which is a collection of reminiscences of Swami Yatiswarananda by monastic and lay devotees. The article which I am reading out today has been authored by most revered 17th President of the Ramakrishna Order, Swami Gautamananda Maharaj. Swami Yatiswarananda was the Mantra Diksha Guru of Swami Gautamananda Maharaj. And this article which I am reading out today is a reminiscence of Swami Gautamananda of his Mantra Diksha Guru. Swami Yatiswarananda was a very senior and erudite scholar monk of the Ramakrishna Order. He was the former Vice President of the Ramakrishna Math and Mission, and he was a very well-known spiritual figure in the Vedanta movement. The title of the article authored by Swami Gautamananda on Swami Yatiswarananda is A Constant Friend, Philosopher and Guide. This narration dates back to nearly 60 years. I should confess at the outset that there could be a few inaccuracies in it. For most of us, Bangalore Ramakrishna Ashrama, now Ramakrishna Math, has become synonymous with revered Swami Yatiswarananda. Hence, whenever I think about the ashrama, all I can remember are the incidents connected with him. My first visit to Bangalore Ashrama was in 1951. I had just graduated from college. It was the evening of Sri Krishna Janmashtami. I went to the ashrama with a friend and entered the Balaka Sangha hall, which was above the visitors' room. I saw there Swami Tyagishanandaji giving a discourse on Sri Krishna. Swami Yatiswarananda spoke after him. I guess the last speaker was Sri V. Sitaramaiah, assistant professor in Kannada at the University of Mysore. All lectures were good, but what impressed me was the appearance of the two monks seated there. Swami Tyagishanandaji, who was tall, fair and had a flowing white beard, and Swami Yatiswarananda, who was also fair but a little short, stocky and clean-shaven. I had not known anything more about them than that they were senior monks of the Ramakrishna Order. It was only 3 years later that I gradually began to know about their spiritual stature. Unfortunately, Swami Tyagishanandaji passed away by then. However, when I heard about his austere life and deep scriptural scholarship, I was wonderstruck. The year 1954 was a rather turbulent period in my life. I was looking for a goal in life and for someone who could guide me to that goal. A friend of mine took me to Swami Yatiswarananda, hereafter Swamiji, for the first time. The evening aarti was over at the ashrama. Swamiji was standing under a lamp post not far from the main gate. As my friend introduced me to Swamiji, I saluted him with folded hands. I was dressed in a t-shirt and casual pants. It was Swamiji's greatness that he did not mind my casual dress or casual way of salutation. He might have wondered, well, this young man does not seem to know how to greet a monk. He returned my salute with folded hands and asked me about my spiritual practices. I told him that I was doing the Gayatri Japa morning and evening and was reading the Bhagavad Gita. He said that is not enough. Thinking that I should do some pranayama, I asked him, Swamiji, could you please teach me pranayama? He declined, saying that he did not teach pranayama to outsiders. I thought that he probably taught only monastics. While my first meeting ended thus, I could not forget his robust face full of joy. I thought there was something divine in it. I wondered if a spiritual person could be so healthy, strong and well built. I was an admirer of Mahatma Gandhi, so I had thought that holy men should be thin, lean and maybe dark. Swamiji asked newcomers to read the following books: Eternal Companion, Teachings of Swami Brahmananda, Towards the Goal Supreme by Swami Virajananda, and the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master. In addition, he gave me a typed copy of Brother Lawrence's Practice of the Presence of God, of which he had a very high opinion. I too found the book very inspiring. When I told him that I had lost both my parents, he consoled me, "Don't worry, Sri Ramakrishna is your parent and everything." In course of time, Swami Yatiswarananda himself was like my own father, even in appearance. He had a leonine bearing. While walking, if he had to look back, he did not swing his whole body, but just turned his face slightly like a lion. How many times I have seen him in that majestic posture. I would follow him and fall at his feet wherever I found him, inside the ashram or on the street in front when he was going to the nearby students' home. To meet Swamiji, I regularly started visiting the ashrama on Saturdays, Sundays and other holidays. Later, he graciously allowed me to spend nights at the ashrama. He also let me attend his weekly spiritual classes for young men, many of whom later became monks of the Ramakrishna order. My two sisters, my younger brother and I were all his disciples. On many Sundays, all of us would go to the ashrama very early in the morning. Swamiji usually came out of his room around 8:30 am for a morning stroll. The manager Swami would warn us not to disturb Swamiji before then, but wait till he came out of his room. But being young, we were impatient. When the manager Swami went past us, we would go near Swamiji's room and call, "Swamiji." He would reply from inside, "Yes, yes, I am coming." He would look at us through his curtained door, start counting 1, 2, 3, 4 and ask, "Is there anybody left at home?" Immediately there would be a loud laughter from him and all of us. Swamiji's weekly Sunday lectures were appealing. Though he had a good audience, the hall was not that full. He used to speak as though he was conducting a guided meditation. Before beginning his lecture, he once narrated his tour experience. He was returning from a trip to Calcutta. He got down on the way to see Ajanta and Ellora caves, known for their exquisite sculptures and paintings. The caves were at some distance from the railway station. He had to reach the place by car through dusty roads. By the time he finished seeing the caves, he had caught severe cold. Concluding his narration, he said, "You see, this is the simple truth. For every enjoyment of the senses, you have to pay a heavy price." In 1954, Bangalore Ashrama had few buildings and more of trees and playgrounds. Swamiji had long evening walks round the campus, starting from his living quarters, going round Holy Mother's Rock. It was a sight to behold when he bowed down with great devotion at the feet of Holy Mother. Coming to the guest house building near the present Sri Sarada Devi Memorial Building and to the front of the shrine where stands the present temple. On the way, he talked to youngsters like us. We freely discussed our problems with him. He sat down on a stone bench near the present Ramakrishna Sabhangana and gave us necessary guidance. He conducted a weekly spiritual class for young men. Once during such a class, he referred to a young man who told Holy Mother that he had to face two calamities. First, when he was very sick, and second, when he married. Swamiji would amusingly recount this to us after the class and say, "Which of the two calamities is the bigger, sickness or getting married?" Again, it was an interesting experience for us young men to sit near him in the dining hall for lunch, and after which many of us would rush to take his plates and cups to wash. There was a regular competition for this service. The ashrama's gardener sat in the opposite line, right in front of Swamiji. About a year after I met Swamiji, a friend of mine at the Ashrama told me that Swamiji asked him, "Shall I encourage Srinivas, my pre-monastic name, to become a monk?" When I heard this, I was very much inspired to prepare myself to live a monastic life. This is how Swamiji indirectly inspired young people for a higher life. He once told us, "Malleshwaram, from where I came in Bangalore, is a cultured place. I'd like to start a branch of our ashrama there." When I was in Malleshwaram, Swamiji visited that place at least 3 times and presided over the Sri Ramakrishna Jayanti celebrations organized by youngsters in that area. After every such celebration, a young man joined the ashrama as a brahmachari. After I organized this function for the 3rd time, I too joined the ashrama. Many parents in the locality were naturally unhappy at this. They planned to stop the celebrations once for all, and they succeeded in it. I remember that the function I arranged went off really well, with nearly 500 to 600 people in attendance. 2 days later, my friend told me of what Swamiji said. The function went off very well. Srinivas might be feeling very proud of it. I was shocked and reached the ashrama as early as I could and told Swamiji in an apologetic tone, "Swamiji, why should I be proud? Everything that was required for the function, including the senior Swamis who spoke and puja articles, had come from the ashrama. What was there for me to be proud about?" Swamiji was pleased at this. I too was relieved from the shock. Thus, any vestige of pride in me was nipped in the bud by Swamiji. Swamiji encouraged women spiritual seekers and conducted weekly spiritual classes for them. Inspired by his teachings, a number of them became nuns at Sarada Math. On Navaratri days, there was a special puja and homa in the ashrama shrine. We young devotees sat on the veranda on the men's side of the shrine. We could see Swami Yatiswarananda sitting in a corner of the shrine and doing Japa with a rosary. His face was flushed. We saw his lips moving and a great joy pervading him. For me, it was an inspiring sight. Swamiji directed devotees to the ashrama shrine as soon as the bell rang for evening arati. He himself retired to his room and switched off the lights. After arati and bhajans, he came to the front of the prayer hall and sat on a stone bench under a tree so that devotees could offer him pranams. After that, they returned home. If there were young ladies who had to return home by bus, Swamiji would call 2 young men and ask them to escort ladies to the bus stand and come back and report to him. Usually I happened to be one of those young men. He infused detachment into young men who wanted to join the monastery but were vacillating for some reason. Swamiji told them, "Girls are better than boys. Girls are better than boys." The young man would ask, "Why, Swamiji?" He said, "Such and such a young lady joined the Sarada Math the other day. That is why I say girls are better than boys." The spontaneous reply from the young man would be, "I will also join. Let me see when," Swamiji said. More often than not, the young man would soon join the monastery. One sincere and dedicated young man received initiation from Swamiji. In his newfound enthusiasm, he spent at home several hours in spiritual practice. One of his friends told Swamiji, "Swamiji, he is overdoing his meditation and japa. Would you please advise him against it?" Swamiji said to him in a serious tone, "You don't worry about it. Let him do as much as he can. Be sure, we may overdo all other things, but never japa and meditation." What a great truth! He liked youngsters to be neat, tidy and joyful. One of us came with an unshaven face with stubbles on the cheeks. Swamiji looked at him intently and told us, pointing to him, "He meditates always on the joyful Brahman but puts up a morose face." This had its effect. He began to shave more regularly. He also encouraged young people to be physically strong and be mentally and spiritually active. On his advice, I joined a gymnasium. About 2 years later, when I joined our Delhi center, my health had significantly improved. When Swamiji saw me there, I was in fact plump. He said, "Enough, do not put on more weight." Swamiji usually appeared serious. Later on, I realized that it was a mark of his introspective nature. I introduced some of my friends to Swamiji, but they did not meet him often because of his indrawn look. However, those who became intimate with him knew him to be a lovable and jovial person. A young lady relative of mine had received preliminary instructions on meditation and spiritual life from Swamiji. After marriage, she moved to her husband's house. The new family was conventional in their practice of religion and were unaware of the Ramakrishna Ashrama. The lady was keen on receiving initiation from Swamiji. She requested me if it was possible to quietly arrange for her initiation on a Sunday between 7 am and 11 am when she could be away from home. I was not sure if Swamiji would agree to this. When I conveyed her request, however, he readily agreed and asked me to keep everything ready for the initiation. On a Sunday, as requested, he blessed her with initiation. Later, some of her family members were also initiated by him. Swamiji called the lady a missionary. Another lady regularly received spiritual instructions from him and was also blessed with initiation. She was timid before she came to Swamiji. With his influence, she grew in boldness and became a professor in Karnataka University. She also went abroad on some assignments. Referring to her, Swamiji used to say, "See how she has grown in her faith." There was a young Gandhian who was working in Wardha, Maganwadi, Maharashtra. He was also an ardent follower of Vinoba Bhave in his Bhudan movement. Swamiji initiated him just 8 days after he met him. Usually people had to wait for about a year and gain familiarity with the ashrama before they received initiation. This young man subsequently dedicated his life to serve the Ramakrishna Mission. He was secretary of an important private center in Madhya Pradesh before it was affiliated to the Ramakrishna order. Another young man who was initiated by Swamiji remained single all his life and became a famous youth leader and Gandhian social worker. His influence transformed the lives of some Chambal dacoits who chose to live harmless and peaceful lives. A young householder lady disciple of his acquired proficiency in Sanskrit under a private teacher. She asked Swamiji whether she could take the exams and get a certificate. Swamiji told her, "It is not necessary. You have acquired knowledge, that is enough." A young man one day remarked, "What is there in the Gayatri mantra?" Swami corrected him, "Don't be a fool. Gayatri is a great prayer." On another occasion, he said that Gayatri is more a prayer than a Japa mantra. It is too long for doing Japa. He encouraged those who were initiated into the Gayatri mantra to repeat it a few times before beginning the Japa of their Ishta mantra. After a couple of years of association with Swamiji, I felt that I should join the Ramakrishna Mission as a brahmachari. Swamiji knew about some major problems in my home and reminded me about them. I said, "Swamiji, problems will always be there. Guru Maharaj will take care of them." But in his considered and wise counsel, he told me not to rush. He said, "Pray to Guru Maharaj and he will solve all your problems. You can then join the order with a peaceful mind." In a few months, all the problems did get solved and I joined the order. Certainly, it was His grace that had worked the miracle. He sent me to a far off center to join the order and gave me 2 instructions. The first was, always remember that no place is ideal. There will be advantages as well as disadvantages everywhere. Use the advantages for your self-development and ignore the disadvantages. The second advice was that I should not bring him bad name. The first 3 years of probation at my joining center were a little trying for me. His instructions made me adhere to monastic life. He had given me another salutary advice. Always think how much you can give, not how much you can receive. He once dictated to me some letter which I took down in shorthand. When I presented to him the typed letter for signature, he said with a smile, "Next time you better take the dictation in longhand." That was his way of pointing out errors in the letter. In 1957, Swamiji came to Delhi Center to attend the dedication ceremony of its new temple. It was a cold day when there was to be a procession with the pictures of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother and Swami Vivekananda. Swamiji walked barefoot in the procession carrying the picture of Holy Mother. As a result, he caught cold. I was then assigned to assist him in his needs. I never heard from him that he had cold or fever. Curiously, he spoke about it to a little son of a devotee. I was sorry and shocked. He did not want to complain about his health to anyone. All the same, he expressed his discomfort in his own way. The director of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, was a disciple of Mahapurush Shivanandaji Maharaj. He used to meet Swamiji now and then. He asked once, "Swamiji, we find very little time to meditate in the morning or evening because of our many other duties. What is the way for us?" In reply, Swamiji said, Noto Bihari Babu, how much time even Swamis can spend in meditation in the morning and evening? The best way is to fill all your idle moments with the divine name. This is how we can continually maintain the mood of Japa and meditation. Before I went to Belur for 2 years of training in 1960, I wrote to Swamiji seeking his blessings. He replied to me, "I am glad that you are going to Belur Come in touch with the special spiritual current ever present there. Then your spiritual practices will become rather easy." He always said that though Guru Maharaj is present everywhere, his presence can be felt in a special way at Belur When I was in Delhi Center, I felt the need for an alarm clock and asked Swamiji about it. He did not say anything. I also kept quiet and forgot about it. In November-December of 1961, he came to Belur when I was in the training center. One evening, when I went to his room to salute him, I saw a brand new alarm clock on his table. He said, "Srinivas, this is for you. Do you like it?" I could not understand anything. I replied, "Swamiji, whose clock is this?" He said, "Yes, it is yours. You had asked me for one when you were in Delhi. Had I given it to you, then the head of Delhi Ashrama could have mistaken me. That is why I am giving it now." Swamiji did not forget my 4-year-old request. I am unable to restrain my tears as I recollect his kind acts of paternal love and affection. From Delhi, I was transferred to Cherrapunji Ashrama, known for its welfare activities among the Khasi tribal people. Before I reported there, I sought Swamiji's blessings. He wrote, "Before you proceed to your work every day, meditate and do japa and pray to Guru Maharaj. Allow the divine breeze to make you move on and on. Pray and pray always. Tejosi tejomai dehi, viryamasi viryamai dehi, balamasi balamai dehi, ojosi ojomai dehi, manyurasi manyumai dehi, sahosi sahomai dehi." O Lord, Thou art the embodiment of infinite energy. Do Thou fill me with energy. Thou art the embodiment of infinite virility. Do Thou endow me with virility. Thou art the embodiment of infinite strength. Do Thou bestow strength upon me. Thou art the embodiment of infinite power. Do Thou grant power unto me. Thou art the embodiment of infinite courage. Do Thou inspire me with courage. Thou art the embodiment of infinite fortitude. Do Thou still me with fortitude. I am sure you will do well. I am sure you will do very well. This blessing came to me as a great strength and tonic. I had to face a difficult situation after 3 years of my stay there. Thanks to his powerful blessings, I was able to come out of it unharmed. Once, when I was in training center, he came to Belur from Nagpur. He had then developed the first symptoms of back pain, which remained with him till the end. One day, he told his secretary, Somnath Maharaj, Swami Samgyananda, "I saw black spots on my subtle body. Now it has appeared as back pain on the gross body." It is always so, from the subtle to the gross body. I was not sure what Somnath Maharaj understood, but I could not make anything out of it. Swamiji repeated this statement 2 or 3 times. I felt small for being ignorant about such spiritual truths. During Swamiji's stay in Belur in 1961 or 1962, I was fortunate to serve him. Once, he asked me to meet him at 2:30 p.m. after his noon rest. When I went to his room, he was lying in bed and looking at the roof. He was gesticulating with his forefinger, implying something vast. When I asked him about it, he said with a smile, that was the idea of the oneness of Atma Paramatma. Before he retired every night, he made me read out to him from the Kathamrita, the Bengali Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. One night, as I read, "He whose consciousness has made all beings conscious," he said, "Ah, that is it. Let us stop here tonight." The next night, when I was opening the book, he said, "Aren't you starting from He whose consciousness has made all other things conscious?" Evidently, he had been contemplating this theme for the previous 24 hours. That was his real love for the Atma Paramatma meditation. He used to say that everyone should meditate on this theme. That will make it easy to feel that we are the Atman, different from body and mind. We had heard that Swami Shivanandaji considered Swami Yatiswarananda to have attained the highest peace through Japa. Despite Swamiji's severe back pain when in Belur in 1962, he used to sit on his bed doing Japa at 12 midnight. I have seen his face then suffused with joy. He asked us also to do Japa at midnight besides doing it regularly in the morning and evening. I had read that while doing Japa, we should sit facing the north or east. When I asked Swamiji about this, he pointed to his bed and said, "I sit on this sometimes facing this direction, sometimes that, whichever suits me, and do Japa." Those words were from one who was himself an adept in Japa. They cleared my doubts once and for all. Sometimes he spoke in a mystic way. Once he was in a tiny room that could hold just 2 people. I was assisting him with something. When a Swami wanted to enter the room, Swamiji said, "No, there is no place inside the room. Heart, except for one, God." An assistant was opening a parcel with several coverings and asked Swamiji now and then, "Shall I open this covering also?" Swamiji told him, open, let everything be open, let everything be open. Be completely guileless." He had an amusing way of expressing his love and appreciation. It was my pleasant duty to polish his shoes. When I was briskly going about the job with my left hand, he remarked with a smile, "This fellow must have been a shoe black in his previous life." I said, "I am relieved, Swamiji, that I was at least a human being, not something lower." We had a hearty laugh. He believed in all-round growth, physical, intellectual, emotional, moral, and spiritual. I have seen him regularly do his morning exercises, doing Japa at the same time. He never liked healthy people going for physical massage. He called it a bad habit because it made one dependent on others. Once, when he was suffering from cold, I had to give him a foot bath with his feet dipped in a tub containing hot saline water. I dipped my hands in the water to feel the heat was comfortable. In the process, my hands touched his feet. He immediately looked at me and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" He thought I was trying to massage his feet. Once, when a brahmachari offered to massage his feet, he said, "Go and massage the feet of your brother brahmacharis." That was a great lesson to us in not cultivating pleasure-loving habits. After serving him in Belur in 1961-62, I returned to Delhi Center. When I heard that Swamiji was undergoing treatment for his back pain, I felt that I should go and serve him. I wrote to him with a request that I might be kindly taken as his sevak, that is assistant, so that I could serve him as I did earlier. His reply was moving, full of holiness and humility. "I do not like the word sevak. We are all sevaks of Guru Maharaj alone." Though he was very senior, he never let juniors stand when they were talking to him. He always offered his visitors a seat before conversing with them. He was very courteous to everyone. When he had back pain, his secretary suggested to use a makeshift Western toilet since Indian toilet was not very convenient for him. But he did not agree to it, and he continued using the Indian toilet. Finally, his secretary prevailed upon him by saying that I would clean the makeshift toilet for him. He immediately asked me, "What experience do you have in the job?" I said, "Swamiji, I have experience in cleaning community pit latrines in villages. I did it as a social worker when I was a college student." He seemed very pleased and accepted my service with a touch of humor. "Then I shall shamelessly use this new toilet." That was how I was blessed to serve my Guru. I remember his kind blessings every time I took leave of him at midnight after cleaning the toilet one last time for the day. He seemed to be against feasts called bhandara, common in ashramas. There were occasions when sadhus tend to overeat. He would say, whatever energy is stored by our celibacy is squandered away by overindulgence in eating. One day, several of my brother brahmacharis in Belur went for a bhandara in a nearby ashrama. I did not go since I had to serve Swamiji. When the brahmacharis returned to Math, Swamiji's secretary told him that I could not go to bhandara. Immediately he replied, what has he lost by not going to bhandara? I felt happy that I did not go. Once there was a theatrical play on Sri Chaitanya in the nearby Sarada Pit. Many monks from Belur witnessed the performance. Finding some respite from my duties, I also went to see the play. On my return, while serving Swamiji, I told him that I attended the play and that many of our monks were deeply moved by it. He said, I don't need any entertainment if I can get my time to meditate. Swamiji always said that spiritual practices bore fruits in the form of purity of mind, which would lead to true spiritual experiences. He always encouraged us to be steadfast in our spiritual practices. He inspired beginners by saying, you have experienced a little. When proper time comes, Guru Maharaj will give you much more than what you can ever dream of. He encouraged his young disciples in many ways. He called someone an ascetic since he loved austerities, someone else as having a loving nature. I have seen that his assessments have always proved right. If something made him unhappy, it was selfishness. He said that while there were limits to householders' selfishness, monastics' selfishness could go to extremes. He always admired unselfish householders. A lady who had received initiation from him in 1961-62 was very much troubled by her knee pain, which made it difficult for her to sit cross-legged in meditation. She was not sure if it was proper to meditate on a chair or a cot. She wanted to ask Swamiji about it. He was then seriously ill at Belur. The lady went there to meet him. But his attendants said that in view of his illness, visitors were not allowed to meet him. However, they let her see him from a distance during his evening stroll along the banks of the Ganges. When she was some 10 to 15 yards away from him, Swamiji turned towards her and said, if one feels discomfort in sitting cross-legged, he or she can sit on a chair or cot and meditate. The lady was wonderstruck with joy. He had great reverence for all women, looking upon them as Holy Mother herself. He used to tell many young ladies, I see the Holy Mother in all of you. Once, the famous saintly woman, Anandamayi came to Bangalore. Some brahmacharis of our ashrama wanted to see her and receive her blessings. Swamiji did not object to it. On the contrary, he said, you are all children of Holy Mother. Go and have her darshan. Once a brahmachari in Belur wanted to attend the Shraddha ceremony at home. Swamiji advised him, instead of going home, do extra Japa here and offer the fruits at the holy feet of Sri Ramakrishna. He believed that the benefits of performing rituals could be obtained by sincere Japa and prayer. Once, Swami Yatiswarananda's younger sister, whom he had not met for several decades, came to Belur to meet him. She did not, however, know his monastic name. She went about asking for him by his pre-monastic name Suresh. No one could understand her. At last she went to Sri Ramakrishna temple and prayed, Thakur, please show me my elder brother. Exactly then, Swami Yatiswarananda came to the shrine to offer his morning pranams to Sri Ramakrishna. He saw his sister standing outside and immediately came out and greeted her. Later he told me, see, she prayed to Thakur to show her her brother, and Thakur granted her prayers. I conclude my reminiscences with an incident that speaks of Swamiji's spiritual greatness. Swami Ojasanandaji, head of our Uti center, succumbed to heart attack in 1957. Swamiji was one of the many monks who attended the funeral. It was late in the evening when everything was over. Swamiji was in an introspective mood when I asked him, Maharaj, what is the goal of our life? Without a moment's hesitation, he said, the goal of our life is to realize God, who is of the nature of infinite love and infinite bliss, as the soul of our souls, as the soul of all beings and serve Him in all beings. He continued, "We know what Samadhi is and we can be absorbed in it for some time. But that was not the ideal placed before us by the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. They wanted us to serve Him in all beings. Don't you see that we are doing nothing other than that?" He stopped and remained silent. I silently left, contemplating his words. Even now, I feel his holy presence and influence in Bangalore Ashrama. He had an unqualified and unlimited love for everyone, monastics or householders, men or women, young or old. He was impersonally personal and therefore did not leave anyone in the bondage to his physical form. He, however, had a deep and abiding spiritual relationship with everyone. The very thought of it elevates our mind. The joyful smile ever present on his bright, peaceful face was indicative of the bliss that results from living an authentic spiritual life. We feel we could have derived much more spiritual benefit from him had we then fathomed even 100th part of his greatness. His unconditional grace has made our lives so blessed. Our salutations to him, the most compassionate Guru. May his blessings be on all of us and lead us to the holy feet of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother and Swamiji is my earnest prayer. At the end of reading this article, I offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of most revered Swami Yatiswarananda ji, and I also offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of the most revered current president of the Ramakrishna order, Swami Gautamananda ji. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.